Marcus Aurelius and the Psychology of Control. Stoicism for an Age of Anxiety. Section 1. The Quiet Paradox of Modern Safety. We are living in one of the safest periods in human history. Violent death is lower than it was for most of civilization. Medicine has extended life. Technology protects us from dangers that once shaped the ordinary limits of existence. And yet anxiety has become one of the defining conditions of modern life. Sleep is fragile. Attention is fragmented. A sense of threat moves through people who, in historical terms, are remarkably protected. This is not a simple contradiction. The modern world has reduced many forms of physical danger, but it has expanded our exposure to imagined danger. We no longer stand before predators in the wilderness. We stand before projections in the mind. Every day, we are informed about instability we cannot control. Markets move. Governments polarize. Climate models warn. Social media turns outrage into atmosphere. The nervous system evolved for immediate threat. It did not evolve for endless anticipation. Marcus Aurelius lived in a different world, but he faced a structurally similar problem. He lived inside visible collapse. We live inside invisible anticipation. Section 2. An emperor writing under pressure. Marcus Aurelius ruled Rome from 161 to 180 CE. His reign was not peaceful. It was marked by plague, military pressure on the frontiers, political instability, and rebellion inside the empire itself. The Rome he governed was not the clean marble fantasy of modern imagination. It was fragile, violent, exposed, and constantly under strain. During this period, Marcus wrote private reflections in Greek. They were not essays. They were not speeches. They were not written for followers, students, or history. They were reminders. The work we now call Meditations was never intended as a book. Its original Greek title, ta iouton, means simply, to himself. That detail matters. Marcus was not trying to perform wisdom. He was trying to preserve judgment under pressure. The philosopher Pierre Hadot described these writings as spiritual exercises, disciplined practices meant to train perception, stabilize the mind, and return thought to what could actually be governed. Marcus was not presenting Stoicism. He was practicing it, and that difference is the key. Section 3. The radical Stoic claim. At the center of Stoic philosophy is a claim that remains psychologically unsettling. Human beings are not disturbed only by events. They are disturbed by the judgments they attach to events. Epictetus states this with unusual precision in the Enchiridion. It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. Marcus returns to this idea again and again, not because it is abstractly interesting, because it is difficult to remember. The mind does not passively receive reality. It interprets, it predicts, it exaggerates. It turns fragments into narratives and narratives into emotional states. Modern psychology describes a similar structure in different language. Emotional intensity is shaped not only by what happens, but by how the mind appraises what happens. Between event and emotion stands judgment, and judgment can be examined. This is the Stoic opening, not the fantasy that we can control the world, but the discipline of seeing where experience is being manufactured. Section 4. The discipline of control. The Stoic distinction between what is within our control and what is not is often presented as simple. It is not simple. It is severe. Within our control are judgment, intention, attention, and moral action. Outside our control are reputation, wealth, political outcomes, other people's opinions, illness, aging, and death. Most anxiety begins when the mind tries to command what does not belong to it. Modern life makes this confusion almost unavoidable. We are asked to care about everything, to react to everything, to fear everything, even when we can change almost nothing. Stoicism restores a boundary. It does not tell us to abandon responsibility. It tells us to abandon the illusion of total control. That boundary is not cold. It is stabilizing. A person who cannot distinguish action from anxiety becomes useful to nothing, not to others, not to the world, not even to themselves. Marcus understood this because he ruled an empire he could influence, but never fully master. Even an emperor had limits, especially an emperor. Section 5. Removing narrative inflation. One of Marcus's most striking mental practices is reduction. He takes things that appear grand, frightening, or desirable and strips them down to their physical reality. Imperial purple becomes will dyed with shellfish blood. Luxury becomes an arrangement of matter. Fame becomes the opinion of people who will soon disappear. This is not cynicism. It is a method of deflation. The mind inflates reality through story. It adds status, fear, fantasy, humiliation, prestige, and imagined permanence. Marcus trains himself to see the added layer. Modern media does the opposite. It amplifies interpretation before facts have even settled. It turns events into emotional commands. Marcus reverses the order. Describe first. Interpret carefully. React last, if reaction is necessary at all. Modern psychology now describes emotion as deeply connected to appraisal. The same event can become threat, insult, opportunity, inconvenience, or nothing at all, depending on the frame through which it is seen. Interpretation is not decoration. It is part of the experience itself. Marcus wanted to see that layer clearly, and when necessary, remove it. Section 6. Acceptance without collapse. Stoic acceptance is often misunderstood as passivity. It is not. Acceptance does not mean that nothing matters. It means that reality must be acknowledged before action can become intelligent. To resist what has already occurred is to suffer twice. First from the event, then from a demand that the event not be real. Marcus repeatedly reminds himself that whatever happens belongs to the structure of the whole. Whether one understands that religiously, cosmically, or psychologically, the practical consequence is clear. Reality comes first. Preference comes second. This is not emotional numbness. Marcus experienced grief. He knew illness, war, betrayal, exhaustion, and the deaths of children. His private letters reveal a man capable of affection and vulnerability. Stoicism did not eliminate feeling. It disciplined the second wave of suffering, the panic after pain, the story after loss, the refusal after fact. Acceptance is not collapse. It is the point at which the mind stops arguing with reality and becomes available for action. Section 7. Mortality as calibration. Marcus thinks about death constantly, not as a morbid obsession, as calibration. Death for him is the great correction to vanity. In Meditations, he reminds himself that emperors, generals, philosophers, and ordinary people all vanish into the same obscurity. This is not meant to create despair. It is meant to restore proportion. Much of anxiety depends on false permanence. We treat temporary discomfort as if it were eternal. We treat embarrassment as if it were a final judgment. We treat status as if it could protect us from time. Mortality interrupts the illusion. Modern existential psychology suggests that structural awareness of finitude can sharpen attention and clarify values. Death does not erase meaning. It gives meaning a boundary. Without finitude, urgency dissolves. With finitude, priorities appear. Marcus uses death not to escape life, but to enter it more honestly. The question is not merely that we will die. The question is what deserves our attention before we do. Section 8. The Inner Citadel. The Stoics use the term hegemonikon for the ruling faculty of the mind. It is the part that judges, chooses, assents, refuses, and gives shape to experience. Had it described Marcus's discipline as a construction of an inner citadel. This phrase can be misunderstood. The inner citadel is not withdrawal from the world. It is not emotional isolation. It is not the fantasy of being untouched. It is the preservation of judgment under external pressure. The world can restrict your circumstances. It does not automatically own your interpretation. This is psychological sovereignty. The Stoic term apatheia does not mean numbness. It means freedom from destructive excess. Freedom from being carried away by every impulse, fear, insult, fantasy, or social contagion. Marcus did not seek calm so he could avoid duty. He sought calm so he could perform duty without distortion. His philosophy was not self-protection alone. It was moral clarity. A person ruled by panic cannot judge well. A person ruled by ego cannot serve well. A person ruled by fear cannot see clearly. The inner citadel is not a wall against humanity. It is the place from which responsibility becomes possible. Section 9. Stoicism in the Age of Rumination. The modern mind is rarely left alone. It is stimulated, measured, compared, interrupted, and exposed to more information than it can metabolize. This creates a new kind of suffering, not from immediate danger, from continuous mental simulation. Neuroscience associates rumination and self-referential thought with activity in what is often called a default mode network. When this pattern becomes excessive, it is linked with anxiety, depressive states, and repetitive negative thinking. Marcus was not using modern neuroscience, but he understood the pattern. The mind leaves the present. It rehearses injury. It forecasts decline. It argues with people who are not there. It expands a single event into a universe of imagined consequences. Marcus repeatedly cuts through this movement. Return to the present action. Return to what is yours. Return to the judgment now being made. Stoicism is not merely a philosophy of endurance. It is a discipline of attention. And in a culture built to monetize distraction, attention becomes a moral act. Section 10. The limits of Stoic calm. Stoicism does not solve history. Marcus Aurelius was not able to prevent Rome's future instability. After his death, the empire entered a darker period under Commodus. Philosophical clarity did not save the political order. This matters. Stoicism is not magic. It does not guarantee peace, success, health, influence, or social stability. It stabilizes the person facing instability. It also has dangers. Detached from ethics, Stoicism can become emotional suppression. Detached from humility, it can become arrogance. Detached from duty, it can become a private technique for self-optimization. That is not Marcus's Stoicism. His version is inseparable from moral responsibility. He does not simply ask how to remain calm. He asks how to remain just. Calm without ethics becomes hardness. Discipline without compassion becomes vanity. Control without wisdom becomes another form of disorder. The Stoic project is not to feel less. It is to judge better. Section 11. Final consideration. Marcus Aurelius does not offer a promise of happiness. He offers a discipline. Control judgment. Accept reality. Act morally. Remember death. Do not surrender the mind to every external disturbance. This is not an escape from anxiety. It is a change in one's relationship to it. Anxiety may still arise. The world may still become unstable. Loss may still come. History may still move without asking permission. But the mind can learn to distinguish what has happened from what it has added. That distinction is where freedom begins. The modern world amplifies anticipation. Stoicism restores proportion. And the question remains as urgent now as it was in the private notes of a Roman emperor. Are you disturbed by events? Or by interpretations you have never learned to examine?